What's going on, guys? Bijan here. So we're gonna talk about We're gonna talk about how you can add burbles onto your 135 or your 335. Basically, any sort of Beamer that has a turbo, you can flash it and get burbles. Now, you will need a couple of things. You can't just type burbles and your car will understand how to get burbles. You need to put in some work for it. So to add burbles onto your car, first thing you're gonna need is a flasher. So I'm gonna go with MHD. You would need a phone that can handle the MHD app. So you're gonna need an OTG cable, OTG adapter. Once your car is flashed, then you can start to kind of mess around with the settings, and that's what I'm gonna show here. I'm gonna switch over, flip my camera, and I'm gonna start to record the phone that I have the MHD app on. That way I can kind of walk you guys through, once your car is flashed, how you can adjust the settings, how you can add burbles, how you can remove your top speed limiter, and all that good stuff. So let's hop into it. All right, guys, so we're inside of the car. Now we're going to actually talk about the burbles, show you the burbles, and show you how to adjust settings, remove top speed limiter, all that good stuff. If you haven't already flashed your car, that is a requirement to add burbles to your car. So if you haven't flashed your car, or if you need a how-to, see the video link above. I explained how to flash your car, what's needed, all the benefits of it, so check out that one. Now at this stage, we're imagining that your car is already flashed. So what you're gonna do is, you're gonna get in the car, gonna turn the power on so that your accessories are on. Make sure that all of this is turned off. So my AC's off, radio's off, everything's disconnected. Make sure your foot is not on the brake pedal, because if you try to click this twice with the brake pedal on, you will just start the car, which is not how we want it. Then what you're gonna do is run your cable down into there, your OTG cable into the OBD. It'll run up here. You have the adapter to go to your device. The MHD app loaded up, old Evo. You open it up. Now, depending on which map you chose, you want to go back into that map. So I have stage 2, so I do flash MHD map, stage 2, and I have 91 octane, and I have a DCT. So now it's going to contact the DME. After it's contacted the DME, you're gonna see this. So if you do map right, it's just gonna set up your same settings again. That's not what you want to do. Now what you want to do is hit options, and let's start to have some fun. So this is how I have my car set up. So you see how exhaust burble is on. So this is how you can add that AK-47 super aggressive burble. If you want that, set it up how I have it set up. You have exhaust burble on. I have bass to 0, which means that if my sport button is not on, it will not burble, in case I need the burbles to be off if I'm around a cop, or I just need the car to be quiet for any reason. Then I have sport set up to 0.9 of a second. Basically, I want really loud burbles for a short duration, and that's what you're setting up here. So you can do, OEM, soft, medium, and then hard. And then you can set up the minimum RPM you want it set up at. You can set up the aggressiveness how you want, so OEM style, soft, medium, and hard. If you really want that AK-47 big bang, then you have to go hard. I would also recommend a minimum RPM, that way your car isn't trying to constantly burble as aggressively as possible. I have it set up so essentially if I'm driving over 3200 RPM, I lift off the throttle with sport mode on, then it'll aggressively burble for a very short duration. Now you can also set up if you want to only do it at a minimum speed or after a minimum speed, so that way if you're cruising around in a parking lot, it's not going to go off. Then you have cold start noise reduction, which is very cool. Basically the idle bump we get when we first start the car, you can turn that off here. If you didn't do a manual force of your exhaust flap in sport mode, you can do that here, where it'll constantly force your exhaust flap open. What I mean by the manual one is you basically pull out the tube that goes to the exhaust flap and you stick a Golf tee in it. It's called the Golf tee mod. And that will allow your exhaust to constantly be in sport mode. It's a little more aggressive, a little more burbly, sounds a lot nicer. Now this is a stage 2 map, which downpipes are recommended. In case you still have OEM cats or catted downpipes, you can select that here. You can also, this is a cool one, remove your top speed limiter. So the 155 limiter that we have, you can remove it here. Now, one thing to be careful of, this next setting, deactivate the kickdown switch. If you deactivate the kickdown switch, your launch control will also be deactivated. Your launch control works off of the kickdown switch being activated when you have traction 1 click off, sport mode manual shifts with sport mode on. You basically push on the brake pedal and floor the gas to the kickdown. If you don't have kickdown activated, then your car won't know to put you in launch control. Learned from my mistakes. It took me a long time to figure that out. Now, you have a couple more settings on here. You can limit the power by gear. So for example, if you want to reduce the amount of power coming off of first gear, which if you want to try to get maximum grip, I would recommend downing your power on first. Our cars are rear wheel drive and we're going to be putting out around 400 wheel torque. It is a ton of power to be putting through either one wheel if you have an open diff or two wheels if you have an M-Tech LSD or something similar. For me, I don't mind it. I just lightly feather it through first and then I go into second, third, fourth, and all the way up. Here, you can apply linear throttle mapping. Essentially, what linear throttle mapping means is when you're accelerating with, let me have that focus. So when you're accelerating with linear throttle mapping off, so your stock throttle mapping, when you're giving it about 30 to 40% throttle, BMW's throttle mapping ramps that up to about 75 or 80% throttle. So that's why it feels like when you're accelerating lightly, it feels like you're accelerating very heavily because of how BMW set up their throttle mapping with sport mode on. If sport mode is off, it actually softens the throttle mapping. So if you're giving it 50% throttle, it's going to feel like 40% or 45% throttle. You have your Burbles set up how you want it. I would definitely recommend leaving it off of base so you have an option to turn it off, essentially with a button. Have it on sport mode only. If you want it to burble and burble and burble, you can max this out and go for, 2.5 seconds. Okay, I'm not going to do that. I made a 0.8, that's fine. You can set how aggressive you want it. So if you want GTS style burbles, you can do OEM or soft. If you want a little more aggressive, medium. But if you really want it to bang, bang like I do in some of my videos, you have to set it to hard. You can also set up the minimum RPM like I said. Once you have all of these settings exactly how you want it and you're happy with it, this is how I have it set up. You then click back and you would click map right. Now, as far as map right, once you're doing this, you don't technically need a battery tender, though it is highly recommended that you use a battery tender just to be safe. The last thing you want is for the battery to all of a sudden die and then your car either gets bricked or hopefully worst case scenario, it just cancels the flash and you can turn off the car, reconnect the battery, and you're able to reflash to how you were previously. I did have my car go to sleep mode while I was trying to map right, or right before I was about to map right, and it got about, I don't know, 5-6% into the flash, stopped, and gave me an absolute heart attack. Luckily, I turned off the car completely, got out of the car, got back in, went back into the settings, rewrote the map, and everything has worked perfectly, thankfully. So again, learn from my mistakes, make sure you do that. Now, like it says, map right does take about 2 minutes for me. It always takes about 1.5, 2 minutes. Don't be so worried to set up a map and you're not sure how you like it. Honestly, what you can do is hit options, play with it. If you want it on sport mode only, if you want it less aggressive, you can set that. Go back, do map right, let it finish, restart the car, turn it back on, go for a drive for 10, 15, 20 minutes, play with the burbles, be careful playing with the top speed limiter because that one's pretty obvious. It just removes the top speed limiter. But if you want to play around with the burbles, you can. You just go back in here again. Let's say, oh, the burbles are too aggressive for me now. Okay, let me dial them back. So you just go back to options, make them softer, hit back, hit map right, wait 2 minutes, restart the car, and you can just keep doing this and having fun with it. The whole point of this flash is to give you more power, give you more torque, let you burble the car, let you have some big old bangs if you want them, or some light GTS style burbles if you want them. But at the end of the day, just have fun with it. If you guys have any questions or you need any help with your specific situation, please give me a comment below, hit that subscribe button, and have a good day.